Hello again. Good to see you. I just want to say to Paulina when she said some of the brightest minds, you just don't know me well enough. You wouldn't have said that otherwise. These guys, though, you're right about them. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining today's panel on AI and DePIN, the catalyst for true adoption. My name is Adam Mosney, and I will be your moderator for today's conversation. Very quickly, beyond my moderating duties, I'm also head of community for the Akash Network. And very briefly, because that's not what we're here to discuss, Akash Network is a peer-to-peer marketplace for cloud compute. So if you need access to GPUs, CPUs for AI training, workloads, inference, all sorts of stuff, head on over to Akash. But that's not what we're here to talk about. You can grab me after this, and we can talk about Akash Network. So just setting the context for today's conversation, for years, we've been asking what will drive mainstream adoption in crypto, right? DeFi brought capital efficiency, NFTs captured culture, and even gaming brought new on-ramps. We haven't even gotten into like polymarket stuff. That's a whole nother way. But now we're seeing the convergence of two massive trends: the exponential demand for AI infrastructure and the rise of DePINs that offer scalable, community-powered alternatives. AI needs compute, storage, energy, and bandwidth at levels we've never seen before. And DePIN promises to meet that demand with a decentralized, permissionless model. Pretty sick, right? But the question is, does this convergence give crypto a utility that resonates beyond speculation and into everyday use? Or is it still too early, too fragmented, or too technical for mainstream adoption? I'm joined today by an illustrious panel of experts, the first of which I'd like to introduce is Tom. How are you doing today, Tom?
Good, and how are you doing?
My voice is a little bit shot, but other than that, I'm all right.
I am always happy to be in Singapore. My annual September trip here, so I need to have more of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do have a question, and maybe my most important question I've ever asked on a panel. And this is just for you. I hope you're ready. He looks a little bit nervous right now. But being a Yale alumni, I just need to know for once and for all, Frank Pepe's or Sally's?
I mean, it goes Sally's for sure.
All right.
Sure. That's inside. That's a little inside.
You can stay.
Question.
You can stay. For folks that don't know, New Haven is known for world-class pizza, and Sally's and Frank's are kind of the two best-known ones, I would say. And I'm glad you said Sally's.
Yep.
Otherwise, I was going to be like, sorry, Tom's got to go. Can we get someone else
out.
up here? Thank you for that, Tom. Thanks for humoring me. Next up, I'm lucky enough to have Janet Adams, COO of SingularityNET. We are on a panel yesterday, and I'm so fortunate to have her back. She has a head start of all you guys because we hung out yesterday, so you guys got a lot of catching up to do. Yesterday when I introduced you, I kind of talked about some of your hobbies and if you've ever been to Burning Man. She hasn't, but maybe someday. But one other thing I did find interesting, and I want to make sure I get this right, it's something you've written. So to paraphrase, you said, you want to grow to contribute the most you possibly can in this lifetime. So I just want to know for myself and for the audience, do you have any growth hacks to kind of like contribute the most I can in a shorter amount of time?
You mean for everyone in general?
Anyone, yeah, for anybody.
For me, today, in today's biohacking world, it comes down to keeping yourself as fit as you possibly can be. Fit, sharp, use all the supplements, get your sleep, and wake up in the morning and inspire your own day and inspire your own mind and be the creator of your life, not just someone living your life. And may I say, a very, very big thank you, Adam, to you and Akash for leading this, to Hack Seasons for inviting us here, to Argentum, because this is a phenomenal moment. This is a crypto conference first. The number of ladies in the audience outnumber the number of men in the audience times 2. Can we hear it?
Clap.
Can we hear it for the
applause
girls?
For that? That's good. No,
clap, clap, clap.
Put the
Come on,
phones down
girls.
and
Clap
clap.
for
Put the phones down and
yourselves.
clap.
Ladies, women. Brilliant to see the women out here today. I have a great, great passion for women in technology, and anything I can ever do to be of service, I am here for you, ladies. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for calling that out, Janet. Next up, we have David, creator of Gonka. Am I pronouncing that right? Gonka? Excellent. So I actually found just a ton, like a cornucopia of information about you online. And I was honestly having trouble trying to think of like an opening question for you. So I figured I'd just ask you, what's one interesting thing about you that people don't know that they'd probably be interested to know?
Oh gosh, so because we did a lot of interviews and profiles, people know a lot of like deep details about our life. I think one thing which most likely few know here That together with my siblings, we sold shares in our future.
Shares of the future.
Yes, so like
Interesting.
everything which we will create, earn in the future, we sold the share to investors, tokenize it so that they can have participation in the future.
I feel like that's what Carl Sagan would be doing if he was still alive right now. And if you want more information on that, there will be prospectus out in the hallway on the shares of the future. Thank you, David, for that. I appreciate it. And finally, last but not least, we have Daniil. And I couldn't find much information on you, but luckily I grabbed you before and I learned that you like fishing. So I just needed to know, what's the biggest fish you ever caught?
Hey everybody, probably like this maybe, or
So not very big.
like around 200 grams. That's my record.
It's all right. You're young. You have plenty of time to catch the big fish. Don't worry about it.
I'm not lying, to be honest.
And honest. How charming.
Yeah, very honest. Yes, true. All right, well, I want to thank you guys for joining, and I kind of want to jump right into the questions, just kind of framing what we're talking about here today. So when we talk about true crypto adoption, what does that actually mean to you? And does AI DePIN have a unique advantage of achieving mainstream adoption over other crypto products, tools, or features? Maybe just starting with Mr. Tom.
Sure. So crypto adoption can mean a lot of things, but I mean, it can mean using coins, owning coins, and I think we've seen that increase a lot, and I think price action will drive that. But it can go beyond just the actual coin piece into providing and using some crypto infrastructure besides just owning a Bitcoin token or an Ethereum token or a fraction thereof, et cetera. And so DePIN, I think we're thinking a lot of the virtual DePINs, which are a little bit removed or a little bit theoretical for the average person, whether it's storage, compute, et cetera. But Helium Mobile, one of the first DePIN projects, has 124,000 subscribers on it right now. The protocol Grass, which basically allows you to download a browser extension and to basically scrape the internet for them, is a DePIN. That has 3 million subscribers contributing effectively their bandwidth and IP address to generate data effectively for LLMs. So these are projects that everyday people are already using at scale. And so I think this only will continue, but I think we're already there, and I think DePIN is a bridge to that. And so I would just expect to see more DePIN projects generating more users, and users don't necessarily care if it's DePIN. The rewards are now in crypto. At some point they may be in stablecoin, who knows? That will sort of fade, that distinction will become less clear over time. But I'd say we're further advanced than you may realize if you think about some of the more deployed applications.
Cool. And just a quick question maybe for the audio guys. Could you turn it up a little bit here? It's really loud. And I want to ask some follow-up questions, and I'm like, sorry, what'd you say? So if you can turn these up just a smidge, I think for everyone here, yeah, that'd be good. All right, thank you so much. So yeah, Janet, see if you wanted to take over the question on if you think it has a unique advantage over other products, other services from crypto for mainstream adoption.
Well, so the very, very big advantage we have in crypto is zero knowledge proof. And we have privacy and we have security. And as regulations and data privacy are continuing to grow and take over this space, this is something that the centralized physical infrastructure and the centralized compute companies just can't tackle as well as we can in crypto. So one great big advantage we have is our privacy and security, and that is about to take us into a new era. The second thing that's going to happen to really dramatically increase the adoption of AI on crypto is the continued growth of the open sourcing of large language models and of DNNs. So we've got Gamma now, we've got DeepSeek, which are open source. Even OpenAI released one of their models for open sourcing. And the outcome of the open sourcing of these models is that they become more efficient, they operate better, and they are lower parametrically, they're less weight on the network. And therefore, coming into 2026, we can foresee a time when we can actually start to really effectively deploy large language models on crypto networks with our advanced privacy and security. And then the final point would be the growth and maturity of neural symbolic AI methods, which are vastly more suitable for a decentralized physical infrastructure than today's mostly neural methods. So really exciting times coming. In 2026, we really do, together with the institutional adoption and the crystallization of regulation worldwide on crypto, we can expect to see a massive upsurge in the adoption of crypto, AI, and DePIN.
You know, I come from AI world, not from crypto world. So I built multiple companies in this field. I sold latest company to Snapchat, building computer vision algorithms. For me, what is exciting is not how crypto will adopt AI, but how we actually can use the main power of crypto to supercharge AI. And for me, like for many people here, maybe crypto is about coins or about like memes or things like that. For me, it is unbelievable infrastructure. So if you think about Bitcoin, it is 26 gigawatts of data centers around the world. It's actually more than Google, Microsoft, Amazon, OpenAI, XAI combined. So like, that's why when I look at crypto from perspective of AI, I think that crypto already has everything needed. We just need to direct it towards AI because we can actually build infrastructure much larger than what we see from the biggest frontier labs and make it actually decentralized, belong to people. And one of the kind of things which I expect should happen soon, and this will be a moment when there is no way back, is that when networks like ours or other decentralized protocols will see first ASICs in the systems. It's where actually Bitcoin as infrastructure starts to grow at the speed normal, regular, centralized world weren't able to even keep up. So I would say that likely first significant ASICs deployment for decentralized AI networks will happen likely early next year or in the middle of next year. And since then, I think that the pattern matching of what is coming and what is possible, and that actually it won't be not just a tiny share of AI market when we care about security or things like that, but actually it is possible to build the infrastructure which will be thousands times larger in terms of compute power than what we see right now, even with these hundreds of billions of dollars invested by Oracle and other companies in just simple NVIDIA chips rather than actually advancing technologies in hardware like we see in blockchain field.
I have a follow-up question for you later, but we're going to keep moving on. I have a feeling you have a good answer for it. But Daniil, we want to see if you have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. In my opinion, in general, if we're speaking about the general mass adoption, especially for like the conversion of, like conjunction of AI and DePIN, it shouldn't be, people shouldn't be using like Web3 products, not just because it's a Web3 product. And at the moment, what we see is the audience of the Web3 is mostly like Web3 enthusiasts. And when we will be at the point when Web2 user will be using Web3 product probably without even knowing about it, so this will be the mass adoption. At the moment, what we see is that people, as I said, people only using like Web3 mostly just because it's a Web3. It has its own utility, but it's also have its own like bad points. For example, the threshold to join the Web3 application usually much higher when we're speaking about like the B2C, for example. And sometimes it requires like a couple of hours of education to just join. So it doesn't make sense. It brings its value, but it doesn't really equal if we're speaking about how many resources should the user spend to join this kind of ecosystem. So how I see this in general, what helped us a lot is that like lowering the threshold like to the ground, I would say, so that every user can join the network without even like understanding probably that it's a Web3 technology, but probably just having a brief understanding that it is secure. And after he joined, he already can understand why it's secure. In our case, it's helped us to bring like 5 million users within the past 8 months. And like with the top, it was 250K daily active. So it was, in general, quite impressive number. And we understand that one of the main reasons that it's happened, it's just because of the lowering the threshold. Most of the users that we currently have there came from the Web 2 world. So they're not Web3 native. So, and when every application, I think, will have the same model, so that's going to be the mass adoption probably. The same, I would say, like would work for the, like, I would say, developer infrastructure. So if the developer will have a choice by default what to use, like for example, Amazon, Google, or any like decentralized service like DeNet, for example, and it's going to be like as easy as centralized services. So at that moment, we can speak about the mass adoption. Until that point, it's just too hard for the like developers to break the habit, because people there are very kind of conservative in this case, and to change this kind of narrative, it requires like too much effort. At the moment, what we should think about is about like the threshold and the quality of our application to say about the mass adoption.
So it's so funny. You were actually kind of leading right into my next question from, talking about adoption into just demand for compute. So AI demand for compute and infrastructure has just exploded. I bet you probably have some stats off the top of your head, Tom, on what. I had some and I forgot to write them down, but there's like the energy usage in the United States is like 25% going up month over month just because of AI alone or something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the stuff I've just seen is OpenAI projects that their own demand will be more than that of several countries. So
I knew you have something off the top of your head.
I think
That's
why
why
that just came out like the last couple of days, like more than the UK or others just for OpenAI.
Yeah.
So yes, energy demand is and there's a shortage of GPUs. Everyone's interested in GPUs. Power will become the resource, right? So power becomes the resource that everybody's looking for. And we're all focused in this industry of providing low-cost, flexible, short-term access to GPUs to reduce the capital requirement for AI companies to democratize access to them, right? So that you don't need to have the billions of dollars raised to actually train your open source LLM, right? That's the whole issue everyone's working on, but which is terrific and huge value add. But power is going to ultimately be the gating item at some point, and that is we're not there yet, but that is coming down the road.
Yeah, that's definitely the bottleneck right now. And that kind of leads into the question I was going to ask about this. So thank you for the stat. I'm glad I didn't write anything down. I knew you'd have something off the top of your head. But how well positioned are DePIN networks like Fluence, like others, with complementing well positioned are DePIN networks to compete with or complement centralized cloud providers?
The cloud, no one in DePIN is replacing the cloud. That is not happening for the foreseeable future. However, if we just achieve 10% of cloud scale, that is an enormous win. And so I don't think the goal here is to replace the cloud. I don't think anyone here has under any illusion that that's likely to happen. And think about it the other way. Amazon has spent about 2 decades and billions of dollars refining its product feature and product set. It is not likely that this industry can compete with that product set across the board. Now, in very specific use cases, like Fluence has been focused on the third-party node providing market, right? That's about $1 billion market. Half their cost is compute. We can lower that by like 50 to 70%. So that's a niche that we can get to and be very profitable and make a huge difference. Like that's one little piece. Right, so, and we bite off little pieces here and there, and we use that to expand our product set and bite off another piece and bite off another piece. That's how I see DePIN working. We're not going to replace the cloud. We're going to replace this product for this customer, and then we're going to add another one and another one and another one. That's the realistic way to do it.
Janet, would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, we're looking at paradigmatic shifts going on now. And so my background was in risk and technology and banking in large-scale global roles. And I moved into crypto almost 5 years ago now into SingularityNET, where I'm COO. And at the time that I moved in, I believed in the power of decentralization, and I believed in the power of blockchain to really, truly make inroads into today's power structures and inequalities. But it's only in the last 6 months that that belief of mine has turned into a certainty. What I once believed, I now know, because I can see a true actual shift coming in our utilization of hardware resources, in our development of AI. And that's coming, as I mentioned, we've got the privacy and security in blockchain, which is going to enable DeFi to dramatically undercut traditional finance across so many of its product suites, whether it's trade finance, whether it's traditional debt, whether it's trading, all of finance becomes open to us to go out and win in a decentralized world, keeping the profit in the hands of the people instead of in the hands of the shareholders. This is coming. But the second reason why I know this is coming is because AI is advancing. Its powers and its abilities are increasing 10x a year. That's a type of growth that we have never seen as a species before. And that growth, that pace of growth, can only be sustained in a decentralized manner. Because if you're in a centralized compute company, you can only work with as many algorithms as you've got access to. You can only work with as many developers as you employ. Whereas in a decentralized world, with thousands of new algorithmic capabilities being invented on a weekly basis, then those algorithms in a decentralized world can compete and co-evolve with each other way faster than big tech can. So even though to me it's been an ideological promise and one which I'm passionate about, the decentralization, the cypherpunk movement, the redistribution of wealth and power, we are now, thanks to AI and thanks to the pioneers of blockchain, we are now on the brink of that becoming a reality. And I couldn't be more excited, in case you hadn't guessed.
So I actually share the excitement with Janet. Imagine that you will see a lot of those narratives that Elon Musk deployed a gigawatt of data centers this year. Only people like him can do that. All these billions of dollars invested. And then just silently, without any PR or announcements, Bitcoin deployed 5 gigawatts of data centers just last year. So this is the speed which is possible. So it's not about just owning a share of the market. Actually, this model works much better for the deployment and for the hardware innovation which should come. From this perspective, I do think that everything already is there. If you will go to OpenRouter, you actually will find out that decentralized networks already overcome guys like Nebius with 24 billion valuation, with contracts from Microsoft, etc., in terms of amount of actual billion tokens, AI tokens, generated a day. So it is already happening as soon as this process of 10x improvement, because imagine 15 years ago, 1 terahash required 5 million joules of energy to produce. Now it is 300,000 times less, just 15 joules. So it's not only about this, massive scale, but it's also about the chain of innovations which allowed this drastic decrease of energy consumption, this drastic decrease of actual compute costs. We all look at Bitcoin as nothing changed through the 15 years, the same amount of transaction, like 7 transactions a second and all the stuff. But as the actual infrastructure, it is trillion times improvement in terms of actual amount of computation happening in the network. So now we just like everything is there. Like we just need to direct this passion and this innovation towards the goal of just getting all that power from centralized player and give it to decentralized community, which will be like 1,000 times more powerful from computational sense than whatever will be built by stargates of the world.
Okay, so in general, what I would say is that our position, DePIN position on the market is, we positioned quite well in terms of the main value, in terms of the security that we bring. The other thing that it requires popularization. Position is good, but it should become mainstream. Mainstream requires some time, and scale requires some time. To become big and compete with the centralized giants at the moment, it's just a matter of time, I think. But in general, in terms of the position, I think everything is quite good at the moment, and it's just a matter of building. So let's keep building. So yeah.
So I think I only have time for maybe one more question. This has been awesome. Thank you guys for answering all these. So if we're sitting here 3 years from now, all right, everyone get in your time machine. All right, we're here 3 years from now. What would need to have happened for us to confidently say, yes, AI and DePIN was the catalyst for true crypto adoption?
It's interesting because if you ask that question, you can have AI adoption without crypto adoption, right? That's the premise, right? And you could you have DePIN adoption without crypto? That's also an interesting point. You could certainly have AI without crypto. That can definitely happen. And so I would say you want to see revenue from DePIN. So we want to see, I think the number is now, it's about 500,000 a week in revenue in the DePIN ecosystem. About half of that is from Helium. So those are the numbers now. You'd want to see 10x that, I would think. But that I think has to be correlated with crypto. Because DePINs by their nature use crypto and are token based. AI is different. And so it's that I will punt the AI part of that question to other panelists because that's a little bit harder for me to say.
Fair, fair.
Okay, I'm going to be brief here, but does everyone know what the singularity is? Anyone know what the singularity is in the audience? It's that moment when computers are smarter than humans. Ray Kurzweil coined the phrase in his book, The Singularity is Near. He predicted 2029. At SingularityNET, we're predicting within 1 to 3 years, we'll be seeing artificial general intelligence, AI that is as smart as humans. And SingularityNET are the OGs of AGI. We are the only credible player in the AGI race outside of big tech, and we are the only credible player pursuing AGI, not from a purely neural network perspective. So when we invent AGI at the ASI Alliance within the next 3 years, and it's the most powerful technology ever invented, and it's on DePIN, and it's on decentralized governance, and it represents the ethics of the widest group of people, that's when we'll be sitting here in 3 years saying, we have full adoption. And to your brilliant points, David, I loved your points. To your brilliant points, we've taken all the power and resources from big tech, and we're redistributing them to the people who need them most, who are currently being left behind.
I got to be honest, I don't think AI is ever going to be smarter than you guys. You guys are killing it right now.
It will.
But very briefly, we only have a few seconds left. David and Daniil, to wrap it up. What does it look like 3 years from now?
I think that major shifts should happen from focusing on different financial schemes towards real infrastructure building. The biggest AI, decentralized AI project right now is BitTensor. But most of the rewards there are received by stakers. And people who build infrastructure there understand that. Just in last 10 days, the biggest subnet of Bittensor lost most of their GPUs. They were biggest one. They had 3,000 H200 and B200 GPUs in the network. They actually dominated some of the models on Open Router. Just in last 10 days, they lost most of the GPUs because they issue billion rewards, and then most of these rewards goes to stakers. And from this perspective, for people who actually build infrastructure, who can innovate within infrastructure, it doesn't work. So when we look at Bitcoin were able to build this infrastructure because of the proof of work, when incentives are clearly aligned with those who build infrastructure. That's why when we built our protocol, we also built it as a proof of work so that align incentive to accelerate the pace of the innovation in this field. And we are pretty sure that in the next 3 years, we'll see enormous growth of power in the decentralized networks, which will be like unmatchable to whatever planned right now by Frontier Labs.
Neil, go for it real quick. We're a little over on time.
Well, yeah. So I can say like 100% that we are moving to the world that is kind of going to be multipolar world. And we see a lot of like protectionism from governments. We see like a lot of governmental focus on digital sovereignty. And that's why I think it would be very good, like, and all the governments, they for sure will have the regulations of AI, of DePIN. And the question is, what's going to be the regulation? And it would be great to see the regulation that requires AI to be decentralized from some countries, to make it safer, to create, like in general, to save their own sovereignty. So that's why, in general, what we built is a sovereign data storage protocol for governments, for enterprises, so everyone can build their own storage with their own rules within the borders of their entities, like countries or corporates. So this is what we believe in, and this is what we want to see in the future. So government focus on decentralization to be safe.
Excellent. What a great way to wrap it up, Daniil. I want to thank you guys for joining today's panel. Can we get a round of applause for our panelists? Want to
thank you, Adam.
Thank the team behind the event, and everyone have a great Token 2049.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.